All right, here we are. 4 exactly. Cool. There we are. So last time I checked, the mic was kind of like the audio was kind of silent. So I turned it up a little bit. Plus I changed the microphone, the camera. So there we are. New camera. It's finally working. Yeah, and I don't know how this stream will be because I didn't really plan this up front. I thought, you know, it's a Sunday, it's really bad weather in the Netherlands right now, so why not do some feedback for you guys. And we've gotten, I think, 4 or 5 tracks, so that's good. Yeah, let's check who's in the chat. So we got Jensen, Mixwarp, Pengi. I saw a demo of yours, which is also in the feedback channel, I think. So we'll get to it. And yeah, in the background is the new release playing, Illumia Volga. I really like this song. It's really good. Let me turn it up a little bit. So yeah. Can you guys let me know how the audio is? Is the mic is better, right? It's a bit louder this time. At least it should be. And check the. Yeah, everything should be good. Cool. Yeah, let's go into some tracks. I don't really have any announcements this time, so let's just dive right into it. This is the first one. So, how do I pronounce this? Is it Banki? Baiki? Sorry, I'm probably butchering your name, but the track name is harder to believe, so let's have a listen. Yeah, let me turn up actually. There we go. Turn up the mic a little. Desktop audio a little bit less. Should be better now. Cool. Yeah, I do agree. The camera is a lot crispier now, so I'm glad it worked out. Although we don't have I got the new Sekora cube, but it's not in the background right now, so I need to find a new spot to place it. But yeah, next time.
It's getting harder.
bad, to be honest. I mean, the mix sounds good. The track, also the arrangement makes sense. So the rest is personal preference. I do like it. The only thing I would say is that I'm not really finding any parts that for me are very memorable. So if I were to hear this song, I like it, and it's great to have it in a playlist or something like that. But I think it needs to grow a little on me for me to actually, repeatedly listen to this song. So that's the only thing I'd say. What you can do, for example, this arp repeats throughout the entire track. You could at some points, the track maybe change it a little, so you can play different rhythms. That's the only thing I would say. It changes it up a little bit. Right now it could be a bit too repetitive, but that's personal. That's personal preference, personal taste. So the rest, everything is maybe like this riser. This riser sounds a little bit too much trenches. Oh yeah, okay. There we go. Should be better. Turn this down a little bit. Maybe it's better now. Turn it up a little. I don't want it to be clipping. But I think it should be better now. Yeah, okay. Cool, yeah, it should be better now, guys. I'm checking the meters. I don't want it to be clipping, so I don't want it to be distorted or anything. So yeah, what I was saying earlier about the track, it's a good track. The mix down, everything is good. There's nothing for me to add, really. The arrangement is good. It makes sense. The only thing that I was missing, said earlier, the only thing I was missing is that it needs something memorable, in my opinion, for me to actually, I just say that, like, listen to it again, for me to download this song or something similar, for me to listen to it on repeat, if that makes sense. That's the only thing I would say, honestly. And maybe this riff that repeats throughout the track, you could try a different pattern. So now it's just playing this one little ARP riff the entire time. Maybe at some point change it a little, for example at the end of the drop, climax, whatever, when it's nearing towards the breakdown, something like that, something that's unique in some parts of the song. That's what I like to do with if I have a melody that goes throughout the entire song, I like to change it a little bit, keep the same sound but change the melody a little in certain parts of the song, for example in the breakdown. And maybe in the breakdown add something that's, catches your attention, catches your ear, like a little riff or a little sound or something that's unique for that part of the song, instead of just having this just stretch out. So that's the only feedback I would give. As it is, it's a good track. It only could need some extra things to make it stick out a little more, because right now it's good, but it's not very memorable, in my opinion. You don't necessarily remember this song when you would hear it in a playlist or something. So otherwise, like, it's a good track. And because I also saw that you emailed this as an actual demo for the label, Greg will listen to it this week, and we'll get back to you about it. But you might want to look into the stuff I just told you, and see if it helps. Maybe you can put some finishing touches, and then we'll see. Maybe we have a release on Sekora soon. So it's a great first track. All right, let me play some music in the background. All right. Next up, we're gonna do a question. I think Jensen is the only one actually. Oh, they've got 3. All right, cool. I also love to do questions, so... Oh, 4 questions, perfect. Okay, question for today's live stream. What is your favorite song you have made in the past, either released or not? And how did you go about making it? I think there's probably 2 of them. My favorite song, I would say, is Sierra. That one I really enjoyed making. And actually I can play it in the background. This one. This is probably my favorite song that I produced. It has everything that I wanted in this song. I like it's like Western African instruments in there that I use from Contact. I also I did a tutorial on my YouTube channel on how I made the I say like the climax sound, the main sound. Check the volumes here. Yeah, it comes in about a couple, like 5 seconds or so. Yeah, so the sound that's filtered right now, that's coming up. Yeah, I made a tutorial about how I made that. So I made that with Contact, and how it came to be. I don't know. I just played around with it. I like to be influenced by different cultures when it comes to music. So I recently went to a concert, like an orchestra, and they played a combination of Western classical music and Middle Eastern classical music. It was really cool, and it really inspired me to make more Middle Eastern inspired songs, I guess, like taking some of those instruments and just spicing it up a little. I like to make it groovy. I like to have big melodies in my songs, as you notice. And when it comes to the mix down and the mastering and just everything with this song, for me, it just makes sense, really. So yeah, this is probably my favorite song. And then the other would be All Around Us. That's the one I used in the intro of the live stream, mainly because I just like the synths used in there. It has this weird pitching sound that I really love. I'm actually working on a sound bank for Sekora, so like presets for Serum. I think I'm gonna do it for Serum because that's the most most available synth. I think everyone has it. So I might include some of the sounds and also the ones I used in Sierra. I mean, I made the sounds with, I think, Silent and some other synths, but I can probably recreate them in Serum. So you guys have, you can also get the sounds that I used. Then the rest of the, and how did it go about making it? So with All Around Us, because eventually it turned out to become a vocal track. I started with the instrumental. I wanted something as an introduction, so there's no beats in the beginning. Even the extended mix doesn't have a beat. It just, the introduction of the song is like very long and slow, because I wanted to have something. For example, if I were to play a set where I'd play only my music or this kind of music, then I'd want something with an intro, and the intro of All Around Us is actually perfect, and that's how I wanted to make it. So it sounds a bit more as like a sort of soundtrack or orchestra kind of vibe, where it slowly builds up, and then after a minute and a half or something, it goes into the climax or drop. So that's a very different approach to making a dance song or electronic music song. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do, and I'm really happy with how it sounds, because all the sounds, they all work together, and everything has its place and its timing. So that's what I really want to incorporate in my music. So those are probably my favorite two. And with All Around Us, I approached a friend of mine, Sander Nijbroek, and I just sent him the song, and he wrote some lyrics to it, and I helped him edit the lyrics so it makes more sense as a dance song or as an electronic music song, because he wrote like full-on lyrics for it, and I told him to chill out a little and like ease it down, so we have a hook and maybe an in-between part, but not more than that. So yeah, that's kind of how we made the lyrics together. So the other questions I'm gonna go into after the next track. That will be Birch. Mute this. Cool. Also, yeah, let me catch up with the chat a little. Yeah, okay, the mic stuff, that should be clear now. Hello everyone. Yeah, we got Pinkowich back, Brush back, Mixor Bios, James. Good to see you guys. Double M. Cool. All right, let's get into the next one. It's Birch. Another great sounding song here. I like the vibe so far. Quality's on point too. Yeah, I like it so far. The vibe is very good. The only thing I'm missing a little is some more energy, and I'm just trying to figure out what it is. I know it's a chill song. I know it's like, you know, melodic track, whatever. But maybe I'll figure it out. Yeah, so for example here, I mean, I'm gonna nitpick a little, but with some of these parts, like, it would be nice to have some point of rest in here. So instead of having the loops or the drums keep on playing all the time, you know, mute them for a little bit, like just a small bit, so it gives a little bit of a rest. Because then when it does come back in, it gives it a bit more power. Because right now it's cool, but it could be a bit smoother, in my opinion. Yeah, so I don't know what it is. It's just that the song, it sounds great, right? I love the melodies, I love the vibe. It's perfect. It's a perfect background track. So when you're just chilling for a lounge bar or something like that, it's perfect. But in some parts, I feel like it's a bit too repetitive. I also feel like the drums, you could add something to it. So right now it just plays the same drums all the time. And I feel like with the drums you could progress, maybe add some percussion or some shakers in the background that actually add up. That could make more sense. So I think that's it, because the rest of the track, it sounds great. That's not the issue. I'm curious what you guys think, actually. Like, drop it in the chat. For me, it's right at this point, it's very hard to say there's nothing wrong with the song. I'm just thinking, like, how can you improve it? Yeah, I think that would be probably be it. Try to look into your drums so it progresses a little bit more throughout the track, and maybe find some ways to add a little energy to it. So either like a rhythmic part or something that, because right now it's very dreamy, and of course that's probably what you're going for, but it doesn't stand out very much. Right now it's more like a lounge song that you would have in the background, and that's probably it. So if that's your goal, if that's the purpose of the song, then it's perfect. But I do think you're probably going more towards a melodic house where you'd want it to be, played in sets maybe, or So when adding energy, it's tough. I would say start with a couple of rhythmic parts, rhythmic elements, like a percussive element or a tonal, like a synth, that is more rhythmic. Because right now your leads and your baseline it sounds great, but it doesn't have a lot of energy. It's very mellow, very very slow type of baseline, right? So if you'd have some percussive elements that are more rhythmic, then it gets you more into a groove. So yeah, I think like also what Dublin said, it's probably more percussion thing, and check out your drums. Like I said, the drums are very static, like really static, nothing much going on. It just repeats the same drums the entire track. So look into that a little bit. Add some shakers maybe here and there, or build on your drums. I think that would really, that would help. So I hope it makes sense. And the rest, because the mix down and the sound, it sounds great already. So that's nothing for me to add on. I think the energy, that's it. So, and that's probably something. It's hard for me to tell. It's probably something you have to. Have to like figure out yourself a little. It's hard to say what exactly it is right now. It's more like the overall vibe. It needs some work. So add some more attention to detail. Then you should be that should work. Next question. I'm gonna come back to Jensen's questions in a bit, because I saw Prash also had a question. And also let me check my chat a little. All right. I actually do. Yeah. We look for all kinds of music on Sekora. So the process, the selection process for me with Sekora is, if you guys checked out the radio show, I'm looking for songs that I can play in the radio show. And for example, with your song, at this point, I like the vibe, I like the idea, I like where it's going, but it doesn't have that. It doesn't stand out enough yet for me to consider it for Sekora. So the genre and the mood is good, right? But it needs, like, I'm always looking for this little extra. I'm not looking for dime a dozen type of tracks. I always want something that has something. That's why most of the feedback I give, I repeat myself quite often, where I'm looking for this little hook. It doesn't have to be like super big or anything. It just needs to have this little little hook basically in the song that makes you like, oh, I want to listen to this song again. And that makes it stand out. When you also mix it with something else, it makes it stand out. So that's what I'm looking for. That's the process. And also, when it comes to genre, I'm not looking only for melodic house or progressive. It does happen to be that we get mostly melodic house and progressive demos. So and if I like it and it fits the style that I wanna bring to Sekora, then I'll sign it and I'll consider it. But I'm also looking for more house and deep house type songs. So as you can know, if you noticed in my radio show, I do play, sometimes I play more like lounge house or house or piano house even, and we signed that too. So because I've also released songs like that, like Sinnerman for example, is it's like a mixture of progressive and piano house, but yeah, that's also released on Sekora. So don't think that because we release a lot of melodic house and progressive lately that's the only genre we accept, because I'm actually actively looking for artists to widen the spectrum a little, so we have a bigger variety of house music, because everything does work together. Also, when you hear DJ sets, most DJs they change it up a little. They don't only play the same type of genre. Also depending on the venue that they're playing. So yeah, like you can always send in demos if you think your track has that Zecora vibe to it, whether it be a house track or melodic house or progressive. You can always send it to us. I mean, we listen to everything. Mainly Greg listens to everything. I try to jump in as much as I can. And now with these feedback streams, I'm getting more into listening to demos as well. Before that, I did everything myself, but I just don't have the time to listen to everything anymore. So Greg does most of it. He checks out all the tracks, and then if the quality is high enough, like what you guys have been sending me so far, then he just forwards it to me and says, okay, do we consider this? And then we start the whole feedback process, because most demos that we get sent that are released, almost all the tracks that you see in the Sekora releases, they had some sort of feedback. There's only a couple ones that didn't have that, but most of them had feedback to it and they changed the song. So the initial demo that they sent is different from the version that we released. Sometimes it's very slight, like a very small change, and sometimes it's quite a big change. So yeah, just send it in. We'll check it out. And of course you have the feedback channel right on the Discord. Okay, question. Sprash, as a label owner, how do you decide which direction your label should go? Okay, as in more melodic, more deep, more progressive. Do you make such a decision based on streaming data or decide along with Greg? Yeah, so I already kind of told you, I just told you a little bit about it. Yeah, the direction of Sekora, I don't have a certain genre that I want to go into. Sekora exists because I wanted a platform to release UOAK music on. As you might know, I also have a different label called Zero Claim Records. That's more like bass house, future house, and more commercial type stuff. And I didn't feel like what I was doing with UOAK, because I have a couple of different other artist projects that I released music under. When with UOAK, I wanted something else. I wanted a brand that revolves around UOAK and what I play as an artist. So yeah, that's kind of how Sekora came to be. So first I started releasing my own tracks, and then I started releasing Light Below because he had a sound that I really liked. He also did a couple tracks on Zero Claim Records, and his sound was really catching on, and I really liked what he was doing. So I started working with him more often. It's Light Below is actually like a project that we started together in a way. Damien is the producer, yeah, the whole Light Below project is just something that I came up with him. So we worked on it together, and then I wanted him to be the first signee on the Sekora label, apart from the remixes that we released. So we released 2 remixes by BLR and Redondo. Those were probably the first ones the external ones to release on Sekora. And yeah, and the Maui, of course, he did this remix that you're hearing right now in the background. He was probably the second artist that did a track on Sekora. So yeah, when Light Below started signing, then I started in beginning of 2020. I started the Sekora radio show, and basically I played the tracks that I would play in my mixtapes or whatever, and I just turned it into a radio show. And my selection process or direction of the label is what I'm playing at clubs or in a radio show. So if I get a demo and I feel like, hey, I can, I would play this in my radio show, I would want to I want my fans to hear this type of music, or the people that are listening to me, then I would sign it. So like I said, I'm not specifically looking for melodic or progressive. While I do like certain type of music, I'm also looking for house and deep house. So I don't want to put constraints on the label. I don't want people to think it's only progressive, because I would not play only progressive in my own DJ sets or radio show either. I wanna change it up a little, and sometimes tracks are a bit more commercial where they have vocals and they're a lot more radio friendly, and other times I would look for tracks that are a bit more club tracks. So now that everything is opening up again, I'm also actually looking for club tracks. So at the Sekora event we had Departure and the Anden guys play. So Anden, if you don't know them, is a duo from I think they're from New York, I believe. Yeah, they're from New York, and they tour with Yotto. They also did a show with Diplo and a bunch of other guys. So they're blowing up right now, and the type of stuff that they were playing is very different. Well, not very different, but it's a bit different from what we released on Sekora. But I really like their style. It's going towards more melodic techno, but it's very club friendly, it's very festival friendly, and it really works. So what they were playing was something that it really inspired me to also make more of that kind of music, to have more club tracks that are available to play in clubs, but also to look for artists that make that kind of music. It's not the most streaming friendly music, but as I explained in the last live stream, it's something that sometimes I feel like you need to have some tracks that are more club friendly and some tracks that are listening friendly for streams, so you can have a healthy balance, and you also have some stuff you can actually play your own in gigs and everything. So yeah, I'm not looking per se for certain genre. It just needs to fit the vibe of the label, and if you listen to my radio shows, then you get an idea of what I'm looking for. So I hope that answers your question. But again, don't let it discourage you from sending demos, because if you were to, for example, send a completely different song that would normally not be played in my radio show, and it's really cool, and I do get a certain Sekora vibe with it, then I will consider it for the label. It's that easy. So especially you guys, because I see a lot of familiar faces in the chat and on the Discord server. You guys are working hard to get tracks that are signable by Sekora, and I'm always looking forward to listening to your demos and also the feedback channel and everything. I try to do as much as possible, And yeah, just be your own artist. Like don't look too much at what someone else is doing. Of course, you want to have some sort of idea, like what kind of labels you want to aim for when you're releasing music. But don't let it influence your own type of style or own music too much, because it never influenced me either. Though everything I'm doing with UOAK is something that I wanted to do myself. I'm not really looking to, you know, place my music with labels or whatever, because I have my own label. There are some labels that I eventually do want to release on, but all the, like, you know, quote unquote success I've had so far was because I was doing my own thing and not because I was following someone else. So I think that's a healthy way to go. And also, let's say you have a really cool track, you send it to Sekora and it might not fit what we're looking for. That doesn't mean it's not a good track. Then you can probably release it somewhere else on a different label, and then maybe the next one actually fits, and then you could, you know, release it with us. So it's that simple. Okay, so Birds we had, then BIOS. I think that's the updated track that you mentioned. Oh, it's not. There we go. It was opening in my different browser. Turn this off. Cool. This should be the updated version, right? Or is this something else? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Tommy Loudon here as well. I love his latest track, Eternal. It's works really well in the club too. Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, you listen to the feedback, that's cool. You got the guitars and everything. Yeah, only thing I would say in the beginning here is because you're working towards your first drop, so I wouldn't like make the build up too big. I'd keep it minimalistic. You can maybe even drop it in here. So right now, it's like it's slowing down. You have your breakdown, right? You have your introduction to the song, like this, and then it hits right into, if you go from here. See? I mean, the transition is terrible, right? But you get what I mean. So you don't need this whole build-up stuff here. You go from here to here. I think it makes the track a little bit cooler, and it has it's a bit different because I have a feeling that the second build up here is also going to be big. So I'd save this, like the big build up for the second break where you're going all out, and in the beginning I would keep it minimalistic. But that's my personal preference. Obviously the guys in the chat are loving this, so you know, who am I to judge? But that's my opinion. So maybe check that out. Yeah, so here I would introduce something extra, something new. Okay, you did. Never mind. maybe also like a little rhythmic part that's going on in the background. Really try to make the song progress throughout the climax. Let's listen to the bridge. I like what you did with the bass there, so it takes it away a little and then comes back in. That was good. Yeah, I think here the guitars, so they could be a bit clearer because it sounds it just sounds drowned in reverb. It's too far in the background. I feel like it could be a little bit more up front. Like, the reverb is great, so I have a lot of echo and a lot of reverb, but I do feel like it could be a little bit clearer. So maybe add, EQ'd a little so it sounds yeah, so it sounds a little bit more up front, and then you can have have the reverb go in the back, but also have the dry a little bit in there, so you can actually hear the guitars a bit more clearer. And I also feel like this thing here that comes in, that melody could also be introduced somewhere in the breakdown. That's what I'm kind of missing here. So you could introduce it more here, because it fits perfectly, and then it also makes sense when it comes, back in a drop. Yeah. Overall, great track, man. I think. I think it's just working a little bit on the details. Actually, send it to some friends. Maybe drop it here. Like, people are already really liking it. Send it to some friends that have a good ear for this. And then working on the details and just finishing it up. And it could be a great track. And then when the track is like fully finished, then send it over as an actual demo to the demo email, and we'll check it out. I'll check it out with together with Greg. So we're curious to what you come up with as a final result. So far the process is going great, and I also like the fact that you're actually listening to what I'm saying when it comes to feedback. You'll be surprised like how hard that is for some people to actually implement feedback that they're being given. It's a good feature to have if you can actually. So that's also a tip to all you producers out there. When you're working with a label or you're working with someone else in general, when someone has feedback on your song or they have a different vision of how it could sound, doesn't mean that you have to change your song, obviously. What I like to do is I send it to multiple people, And if, let's say I send it to 3 or 4 people and they all say the same thing, like, hey, this melody, or it's too repetitive with blah blah blah, then there's probably some truth to it. If a certain thing comes up only once, so if someone is saying like, hey, this guitar is not EQ'd correctly or whatever, then I'll take their feedback and actually listen for myself. But then if I disagree, I'll just leave it as it is and I don't listen to their feedback. But most of the time when it comes up multiple times, then you know that, you know, it's probably something you want to check. So anyway, finish the song, and then send it to us and we'll check it out. Cool. Next one. All right. See what we have here. Check the. Yeah, it could be like a bass trick from. Okay, it reminds me a little bit of the Avura. I can't play him on the stream, but it does remind me of some of his tracks. I think what I really like Floyd, that song. That's where he also did like the Pink Floyd guitars. I think that's a good example to actually check. Let me look it up real quick. Like this song here. I think this is a great song to check. Also how he did the guitars in the breakdown. Floyd Avura, yeah. That would be perfect for the BIOS's demo. Okay, question time. We had Prash's question. And we're going back to Jensen. So his second question was, if you're only able to keep one plugin, which one would it be and why? Any plugin, example, Divar, Soundtoys, Echo Boy, etc. Do you mean external plugin? Because if you can only have one plugin, that would be, yeah, you can't really make music with only one plugin. But I'm guessing you'd say like only one plugin. Yeah, I mean, I like Diva a lot and Serum. Those are probably my two go-to, and Silent. They're my go-to. I think if I'd have to pick out one for synths, it would be Serum to keep. And because Diva is cool and all, but you can get a very similar sound with Serum, and I feel like Serum is easier to use. It's faster to use, in my opinion. I mean, Diva is great for having bass sounds, and I use it mostly for bass sounds. But Serum would be my preferred synth to keep. And then like effects, I don't know. I don't have certain effects, like all the external effects that I use, like the Soundtoy stuff and the FabFilter EQ and everything. Most of it can be, you can get a similar version with the Ableton stock plugins. I usually use Ableton stock, and I only use fancy plugins like the Crystallizer, or there's this one from Soundtoys that has a really cool one. I forgot the name. Portal. That's a really cool sound to get like really unique effects. But a lot of it you can already do with the stock plugins. So when it comes to effects, I don't know. If I'd have to pick only one plugin, I would probably go for Serum, I guess. Because when it comes to effects, most of it you can do with the stock ones already. It's just you don't have presets, so you have to make everything yourself, basically. So yeah. Next one. Okay, we got a Spotify submission from Mac here. I'm only gonna do actual tracks that need feedback because this is already released. So you can drop it in the Spotify submission group here, and we'll check it out at a later point. So this is only for feedback for tracks that can actually use feedback still, because So if it's already released, there's no more changing. Get into this. I also wanted to for those who missed it last time, we have if you have already released tracks, there's a Spotify submission channel here. So we already had some submissions, and I also saw there were already some donations for reviews. So that's why I made the Ko-Fi page. You can basically use it to either support us or the channel, to grow the Discord channel or the YouTube channel. That's a nice way to support the label. I much prefer, of course, that you just stream the playlists on repeat, or buy on Beatport or something. But this also helps. And if you have a track on Spotify, so I get so many submissions also in DMs and everything, and emails, that I refer now to this page, the Ko-Fi page. This is a premium submission, and I use all the donations to grow the server and the playlists. But this is basically, this makes sure that either Kevin, Greg, or me checks out the tracks that are being sent here, and they get priority. So that doesn't mean that your track gets added to any playlist. It means that we listen to it, and then if it fits anywhere, then we do add it. Because I'm strictly against payola. I do not endorse accepting money for placements. So all this is a donation fee for us to check out the tracks, because we get so many submissions. But there's also a free option, which is on this channel right here. So I do also check these, but I only check these when I actually have time to check them. And when it comes to like email and Instagram submissions, I just can't check them anymore. We work with a certain group of people, like labels, for the Sekora releases, and that's probably as much as I can actually handle when it comes to Spotify submissions. So that being said, let's jump into a demo. Is he here? Ty James. Tyler. Let me check the chat. Hopefully he's here. Alright, we'll just have a listen. This also doesn't really seem like a demo because it's already released and it's not private. Well, I'll just have a quick listen and there he is. It has cool elements, but I'm not quite sure if this is an intro or it's the actual drop. So let's continue. It sounds a little bit like the intro. I like the vibe in this part, but it doesn't really sound very, I say that, it doesn't fit what's happening here. So nothing here, when I listen to this part, it kind of gives me the idea that I'm gonna get some funky deep house track, because the kick here is very minimalistic, but it punches through real nice, and I don't hear much of a bass line going on. And when I compare it to this is very different from what I heard earlier. So I think my biggest feedback would be to pick a theme for your song and stick to it. So either have this part here and then make an intro for that so it fits, or have this part here and then make a track out of the rest of that, so it sticks more to this kind of vibe. That's what I would say. But this is really cool. Could be maybe a bit more of an actual theme in there. Some melodic elements would be nice. Yeah, what I would say, the biggest feedback in this is like you have some cool elements in here, like in the first and second drop, but it doesn't work together with what's happening in the beginning. So either strip it down to like a basic beat, so it has an intro in there. I'd say maybe the breakdown the piano is really nice, but it feels a bit. Piano could have a bigger role in this song, I'd say, because the piano, it sounds really nice, but it feels like it's just something that's just thrown in there at this point. I think it could be a bit bigger, so maybe if you introduce it towards the end of this somewhere and then go into the piano and have it build up a bit more, I think then if it has a bigger role in the song, it would be nice because it sounds really good. And I'm also missing a little bit of a hook in the break where it really gives you this like this feeling that you actually want to listen to. Okay, what's coming? It's actually inviting you to listen for that drop again. That's what I'm kind of looking for. And overall the rest, like, it sounds pretty good already. So nothing much to say there. I think it's just working on the theme of the song. Mix down it's alright. Could use a little extra detail, and work on your breakdown a little, make it a bit more exciting to so people actually I just say that they want to listen to what's coming next. So it tells a story in a way, and maybe add some attention to detail with some synths in the background that you don't necessarily hear very much, but they're there and they fill out the song, they fill out the spectrum. I think then it could take your song to the next level. But again, like this, it looks like it's already been released. So maybe next time send in a track that you're working on, so I can actually give you some feedback to improve before releasing the song. But on all, welcome to the channel. And I'm looking forward to your new tracks. Cool. Let's do a question. Hello, Blueberry. Also, guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do so. It does help out the channel to help it grow. Maybe drop a like on the video as well. So it helps the algorithm a little to get it more exposure. Because this is a second stream, and I want to make it a weekly thing where I also invite artists from the label. So coming Tuesday we're gonna do a stream. You're welcome, Tyler. Coming Tuesday we're gonna do a stream with Greg, Blank Page. He's the A&R of Sekora, so he's gonna be roasting your tracks. He's brutal, He's very strict when it comes to feedback. No, he's nicer than I am in most cases. So, but yeah, like I'm looking into doing this on a weekly basis. But it also depends a little on how it performs, because it does take time to set all this stuff up. And of course, I want to help you guys. But if it can get some extra love, I'll do it more frequently. I'm trying to look at 2 times a week, but once a week, every Tuesday, that's a guarantee for now. And then hopefully we can up the amount of feedback sessions we're doing. Okay, so we had Tyler here. I saw a question come in. So actually, let's take. So Orem is going to be the next feedback. Let's do Jensen's third question. Okay, any big shows coming up? Big releases from me or Sekora? Yeah, big shows, not so much. We're working on doing a weekly thing. Actually, the thing is, next week there's going to be a new press conference about the whole situation with the vid. You know, that awful thing that's been keeping us at home in lockdown for such a long time. And there might be some bad news coming, but we don't know yet. So I guess we'll see on, I think they're gonna announce it on Tuesday. But yeah, I don't know. And when it comes to big releases, there's nothing much I can say about it yet because we have to finalize. But we do have an artist returning to the label, who is doing really well. And they sent me a song which is amazing. So we'll probably be releasing that soon, but we still have to look what the situation is going to be like. We don't know 100% yet if we're going to sign it. So yeah, there's nothing much I can tell about it, but there's some exciting stuff coming. And yeah, we have so far a release every week. And I'm looking into doing a... okay, so this is a thought that I have not even shared with Greg yet. Or any of the artists, but I'm looking into doing a compilation album for Zecora, where we combine upcoming and some of the recent tracks that we released. So you have, we make a nice artwork. I was looking into printing on vinyl, but the vinyl companies, they have a waiting list of over half a year, so that's probably not going to happen. But I do want to look into compilation albums to give it a bit of a nicer Sekora experience instead of just having singles released every week. A compilation album would be nice, especially for the holidays, and we can do something extra with the label, basically. So you heard it here first, but I'll keep you guys updated on what's happening. And if we're actually going through with it, what the status is. But compilation albums are probably coming soon. I'm gonna do another question because we're in a talkative mood right now, and then we're gonna go into Orum's demo. Okay, so Pinkowicz, I'll save your question for when we come to your track. What's your way of deciding to continue with a new idea or move on? Are there usually clear signs that indicate the idea is being forced, or isn't it worth making a full track? Yeah, so I have, I'd say, two opinions about this. The one thing is, yes, so what I usually do, there's this guy called Mike Monday. I really recommend checking him out. This is not an endorsement or anything. I just really like what he's doing, and his process actually helped me out. So what he suggests is that, and what I started doing as well a little, is I have this folder in my Dropbox, and if I just go into a new music making session, I would make ideas or songs as fast as possible, and then I'd probably bang out an idea in 15 minutes or so, or 20, whatever, and then just start banging out ideas, and then have a bunch of ideas. Or if I don't have much time, I'd just make an idea real quick, or a loop or whatever. What I do tend to do is, so don't try to get stuck in the loop. Don't just make a loop and then call it a day. Actually what I do is I make or I start with a break, but most of the time I start with a climax that I like. And when that happens, when that loop works, then I try to build a short arrangement as quickly as possible. So what I'm doing is, the camera I might have to change the camera real quick, but it should work for now. Anyway, what I try to do is I make the ideas as fast as possible, and then make a little bit of a breakdown in front of it, and then have an idea of a breakdown, build up, and a drop, and then get that idea and then just bounce it into my Dropbox folder, and then I do a whole bunch of those ideas, and then I just don't listen to it for a couple days, and then come back a couple days later and listen to them again, and then most of the time you get an idea of the stuff that sticks around, and then you get this idea, oh, this sounded really cool, let me finish this, or something similar. So that's one, just making as many ideas as possible, bouncing them into a folder, and then listening back to which were the best ideas. And you can usually notice it yourself, because once you made an idea and you let it rest for a couple days, when you come back to it, you get a sense of if it was good or not. And then you can judge it as a listener instead of you as the producer that's like stuck in the loop, because you're listening to your own song. You can't really judge if it's good or not anymore. So that's one. But I also am a very like a fan of actually finishing a song. So what happens is, if you have an idea, and even if it's not the best idea, if you force yourself to finish the song, it does two things. So first of all, you're forcing yourself to practice on making, because if you just make loops, if you just make short ideas, then you eventually become very good at making short ideas. And because you're good at that, and you're not very good at actually making a whole song, then you tend to not make whole songs anymore, and just stick with like little ideas, and then you never finish songs. And the longer you repeat this, the harder it will become to actually finish a song. So I recommend just finishing songs, even if the idea isn't great, just finish it 100%. Don't half-ass it, don't be... Okay, the camera just died out. Let me replace the batteries. I'll keep talking though. I should probably get like a charger for this camera, but I'll have that next time. So, changing the batteries as we speak. It should work. Hold on. Almost done. Then I'll continue with the story. Alright. Cool. We're back. Next time I'll have a charger so it doesn't die out on us. Okay, so continuing on the story. Yeah, so finishing actual tracks, because then when you force yourself to finish a song, it does two things. First of all, you become more efficient at finishing songs, so you actually learn from it, which is probably the best part, and you become really good at finishing songs. And if you want to be a successful producer, you need to finish songs anyway. So you might as well just finish even if it's a mediocre idea, just use it as practice, because what's the worst thing that can happen? That you finish a song and then it just turns out to not be the best song ever. Yeah, then sure, you just trash it. You don't have to talk about it anymore. But maybe when you finish songs, if you start out with a bad idea, what happens to me most of the time, start out with an idea that I don't necessarily like very much in the beginning, but then once I started actually finishing the song, I start improving on the sounds that I'm using, and sometimes new ideas pop up while I'm finishing, and then that new idea that comes in might actually take the song to a whole new level that I didn't expect it to be. So there's a couple of songs that actually started out like this. So my track In My Mind, well, Speak of the Devil, just started playing. This song, I wasn't very happy. The first version I made of it, it wasn't great. I almost trashed it. But then I forced myself to finish it 100%. And when I say finish a song, I mean 100% finish a song. not 70%, 80% or 90%, and then send it to your friends or whatever and say like, oh, it's not finished yet, because that doesn't really get you anywhere. When I say finish a song, I want you to 100% finish the song as best as possible as you see fit, and then you send it to someone else for feedback, because then you also can't fall back on the excuse of, yeah, the song isn't finished yet. You know, like that's a producer thing to say. Like, don't do that. Finish it 100% as best as you can, and then ask for feedback, because then the feedback that you're getting actually takes your production skills to the next level if you can improve them, and it doesn't give you the excuse anymore of saying that, okay, it's not finished yet, right? So yeah, clear signs, yeah, not so much. Like, make as many ideas as possible, throw it in the Dropbox, but sometimes you do have to force yourself to actually make a full track out of it, even if it doesn't sound great, because then songs like these, like In My Mind, might pop up. And most of the songs that I released that I'm very, very happy with, I actually had to force myself to finish it, because I was about to quit, because I have very high standards when I'm making music. So yeah, forcing myself to finish a song, even if I don't like the idea, can sometimes get you great results. So I wouldn't I wouldn't wait for like inspiration or anything. Just keep on grinding, and then you never know what comes out. Cool. We're gonna check out Orum's track. Yeah, I like the song. I'm just gonna actually let it finish. So this is the kind of stuff I was actually talking about. This vocal is not too present, so it's not like a full vocal track, but it's a perfect hook. It's something that really catches your ear and makes you want to listen to it more often. So Yeah, great song, great song. So production wise, everything is already on point. Not much to add for me. The vocal is great, especially here. This in my heart part is exactly what I meant. I mean, obviously this is a vocal track. It's harder to do when you have an instrumental song, but if you don't have a vocal, what you have to think is you need to replace that vocal with a melody that sticks out. So all the instrumental tracks that you know that really stick out, that are memorable, they have some sort of hook or melody that sort of replaces a vocal actually. And here he has a vocal that does it, but it's a catchy vocal. It has a hook, and this makes me wanna. This is the part that I wanna listen to again or more often. So yeah, take note on this. This is the kind of stuff you want in your tracks. It's great. When it comes to the build-up, though, I would like to hear this song as a full extended mix. So I'm gonna give some feedback, and then hopefully you're gonna send this track as a demo to the label, because there's parts in this I can already hear this going really well. So I think the vibe fits the label. Just needs some touches here and there. This vibe is really good already. Yeah, the only thing I think I'm missing is some details in the background. So maybe some like little riff or arp going on in the back. That could really fill out the spectrum in this song, and then maybe take it to the next level. There's some elements in there already. Having like some plucky sound or like a rhythmic element in there. Something going on in the background. Like you have this sound that like stutter effect in the background here. That's something that could be, because right now it goes from drop right into vocal part. If you were to extend this little part here, and instead of making it 2 seconds, make it like 5 or 10, a little bit bigger, and then emphasize this little effect you have. If you can make that bigger or make it a bigger sound or something like that, it gives a little bit of a rest from the drop and the vocal, like a little bit of time to breathe instead of like throwing in the vocal right away. And then you smooth it out a little, and you can make the break a little bit bigger, if that makes sense. Because then it introduces a little bit of a rest, and then you can build up again from there, instead of going from vocal, 2 second nothing, and then vocal again. I think the vocal would come in so much stronger if there's a little part of instrumental or a bit more silence going on in there. Maybe have like this low solid bass or some nice epic chords or some melody going on. That little effects you did there, maybe expand on that effect, make it a bit bigger, make it a bit louder, because then it takes a song which is already good, because it's a good song, right? It has great elements, but I feel like if you were to work on the arrangement a little and work on some of the details in this song and take that, you can really take this song to the next level. Then it has very big potential, because then it comes exactly like someone already, like Mixwarp already said, it comes close to Rufus to Soul style, which I love. Yeah, I think if you take some of their ideas, what they do in their songs, just, you know, nitpick some of the ideas that they implement, it could really take this song to the next level. And then I'd probably love to sign it to Sekora. So I'm very curious to what you can do with this. And yeah, when it's finished, just send it in, and then we'll see where it goes. But overall, great track. And also make an extended mix. I'm curious what you how it would sound as an extended version, so we can actually play it at a club or something. All right. Yeah, we're saving Pinkwitch's question. We had Dublin's question. So DQ Music. We're coming to his demo as well, so that's perfect. The question: if Zecora rejects my demo, can I fix it again and send it to Zecora? Yes, of course. Well, I mean, like there's two kind of rejections you can get from any label. There's the rejection of the song, like the idea and the whole song doesn't fit the label. So if someone sends us something that's just like too hard or when it just doesn't fit the label, you get this you get this vibe, right? Sometimes you can't really sometimes you can't really put your finger on it and say, okay, why is this song being rejected? That's why I also always say to everyone, never ever take rejection personally, because it's not about you. It's not a personal thing. Sometimes it just doesn't work out, and then it should motivate you to keep on working harder. And like, we listen to all the demos. I'm very thankful and grateful that you guys put in so much energy to make music and send it to Sekora. It really means a lot to me. So I always want to give. That's why we're also doing these streams, because I want to give back to you guys, and help you become better artists, just like I was, learning from my mentors back in the day when I was learning to make music and when I was sending tracks to labels. But a rejection doesn't mean that your song is bad. It could mean that it doesn't fit the label. So in that case, if it doesn't fit, then I just suggest sending it somewhere else. But also, you need to be honest with yourself, because if you've been making music for a year, then the chances of your music sounding professional or professional enough is quite small. So that's why we have the feedback groups, and I also suggest getting some producer friends that are honest, like that are not friends, because if you have your friends, they will say everything is awesome that you make because they want to support you and they want to cheer you on. But you need some very honest producer friends that are probably going to break your heart a little, that can tell you if a song is professional sounding or not. And sometimes I get demos where I like the song doesn't sound professional, and in that case, I don't want to break someone's heart and say, your song is just not good enough. So that's also a kind of rejection. And I think you can avoid those kind of rejections by sending out music to your friends, to your producer friends, because then most of the time they'll be honest and tell you if song is actually professional sounding. So you have the rejections where it just doesn't sound good enough, and you have the rejection where it doesn't fit the label. So if it's a rejection where it doesn't sound good enough but the idea is good, then obviously if you can fix that, if you can actually fix the song and make it sound professional, then I'd be happy to sign it. But if it's a rejection where the song just doesn't fit the label, I'm not feeling the vibe, and I don't feel like it fits on Zecora, then there's no point in sending it again, because it doesn't work with our label, and there's probably labels out there that would fit much better for your song. And so then you probably want to look for a different label. And then if you have a new song, then you can obviously send it again. You can, most of the time you can just send over your songs anyway. And then, because sometimes you have a song where you think, oh, this, they're never going to sign this, probably. And then then we actually do, or a different label does, or whatever. And songs where you're like, oh, this is so awesome, they're 100% going to sign this. And then you get the response of, yeah, we don't really feel like this fits. This could go for any label, right? I've had these kind of rejections too, but it always inspired me to become better. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Now let's get into your track. Oh, and when you're sending out a demo, you can master it yourself. I mean, you don't have to have a full master. It doesn't have to be professional studio master, whatever. But at least make it 0 dB and make it sound, more master friendly, because you want it to sound as good as possible when you're sending out a demo. Obviously, it's gonna get mastered if it gets signed anyway. But if it's very silent, I'd probably have to turn up everything. So you don't have to do a -6 dB unmastered version. You do that when you're actually getting your track ready for mastering. I would just suggest putting a limiter on your master channel. Maybe add some saturation, some EQ, and actually try to master it yourself a little. Very chill track. I like it. Yeah, very good vibe. So I'm just checking the kick here. I think you might want to edit the EQ the kick a little in this breakdown here. So it's nice to have some drums going on, right? But it sounds too similar to the actual kick of the drop, and now it doesn't really make sense here. So either like use an EQ'd version of your kick or something else. Like you can also use a percussion sound on the rhythm of the kick, on the 4 to the floor beat, Everything sounds very good, man. I'm very surprised by the demos that we're getting. And quality-wise, it's really good. So yeah, when it comes to like mixdown and everything, there's not much I can add here. Because it sounds already great, and if you were to master this, it's gonna pop out even more. Yeah, I'm just curious. You might want to look into your arrangement a little. So this part here could change a little. And again, there's nothing much I can say about the track itself because all the sounds are good. But something that I notice a lot with demos that I get or hear here is that you need to, with your breakdown, you need to have a sort of a story going on, and you need to invite people. So when someone hears this breakdown, you need to invite them to continue to listen. So having, again, something like a hook or something that's building, like synths, like chords becoming bigger or new elements being introduced, something going on. The beginning of the breakdown, you're giving listeners a little bit of a rest, but then it starts to, slowly build up again, become bigger, introduce some bigger synths, maybe a new element or like a little vocal thingy or a riff or a hook, something going on, and then it's inviting your listener to stick for the rest, for the good part, for when that drop comes back in, for that euphoric feeling, that release of tension. And I think that's what's missing a little bit here. So that's something you might want to look into. And also make an extended mix. So an actual mix where you have, if that's your idea, that with actual beats in the beginning, like a DJ friendly mix. That's kind of what I'm missing here. Unless this is intentional, but I don't feel like there's an outro either. So you'd probably want to make a version with an outro, and I'm curious to what that would sound. So I'd say with this one, get to work, pay a bit more attention to detail. So work on the details a little, maybe have some background sounds that make it more interesting. Try to incorporate a little hook or extra riff or something that's in the breakdown, and try to fix this drum part a little, because right now it doesn't sound like it fits there really. And then have an intro and outro, so it's an actual DJ friendly mix. And then send it into either the feedback channel or send it to our demo email, because I'm curious to like the final version of this. If you need in between versions, just drop it in the feedback channel and have other people give you feedback on it. But I'm curious to the actual final result, and then if it would fit the label, maybe we'll see. But all in all, it's a good track, and it already sounds great. So you already got some good comments in the chat too. So that's cool. And then that's probably it. So looking forward to your final version. Alright, cool. We did your question. Let's go into Pinkowicz's track. Let's just go into it right away and then do his question afterwards. Version 1.11. There was 6 versions in between the last one you sent? Yeah, you're welcome. I'm curious to your final version. So what I think with this pan drum, there could be maybe like a filter or something on it, like a bigger reverb and a filter, and then once you're opening the filter, you also cut down on the reverb a little. Have some automation going, you know, to make it a bit more interesting. I like the chords coming in here. Like the pads. Yeah. Also, cool introduction of the extra sound here. I do feel like there could be something in this transition to make the drop pop out a little bit more. Maybe give some of the other elements a little bit of a rest or a filter or something like that. The vibe is good. Here it feels a bit, I don't know, it feels a bit empty here. I don't know why. Maybe, yeah, there's some drums missing, I guess. Not so sure about the strings here. They sound like they don't really fit, so maybe try something else. The strings are fine, the sound is fine, maybe try some different chords. Yeah, again, like the sounds, everything is cool. The vibe makes sense. It's a good vibe in the track. I already said that I liked it, so like I think the only thing is some parts of the song, like the arrangement, you've improved a lot. So nice job on that. It also feels more, yeah, like Bio said, it feels more coherent now. It feels more like one song, but there's still some elements, like some parts of the track where I feel like you can improve a little when it comes to arrangement. Maybe shorten this whole part a little bit because it's very long now, and that's fine. But if you do that, it needs to keep on progressing. And right now, some of the parts are too repetitive for too long, so you need to have these rhythmic organic sounds that keep changing a little. Like sometimes you use a phaser or a flanger, or use a filter to automate a filter, and play around with that kind of stuff. I know when you listen to Tim Green's songs, because that's probably the inspiration you took for this. I mentioned it in the last stream. You can hear that it's constantly evolving. Every little sound is constantly evolving a little. And here, when I'm listening to it, it's cool. It has the elements. It sounds great, but it sounds like it's too long and it gets too repetitive, and you'd probably quit listening after some point. And that's the trick, and that's also the hard part about this kind of music, is that when you listen to these kind of songs, like the All Day I Dream type vibe, these songs are very long and it sounds very repetitive, and but for some reason it works because they use automations and they use like very subtle sounds in the background to fill it out and make it more interesting. So I think that's what you need to look at a bit more. Maybe give this song a couple days rest, work on something else. Then when you come back to it, get your notepad and just listen from begin to the end. Don't skip through. Listen to the entire song and then notice for yourself like how engaged are you with this song. Like give it on a scale from 1 to 10. Like you have like it's a meter, you have this going like, okay, this part I'm like, I'm at a 5 and a 6, I'm getting more interested. But this drop is dragging out too much, so I'm getting less and less interested, less and less involved. And then maybe something happens again, I'm going out. So the moments where you start to lose interest, because I've had this when listening to this, I've had some moments where I was like, this is dragging on too long. So at some moments you might want to add something or change it up a little so you get that interest level going up again. And I think that's a good way to find out where your song is being too boring, basically. So yeah, I think that's the only feedback I have for now, because you probably need to fix it yourself by just giving it a little bit of a rest and then listening to it after a couple days with fresh ears. And then you can listen to it as a listener and not so much as a producer. And then I think it'll fix most of the things that are lacking in this song right now. So let's go into your question. All right. The question is, okay, do you have any suggestions for making melodic segments memorable for the listener? Also, any tips on writing bass lines? Making melodic sections memorable. Yeah, I think what I like to do is I try to avoid getting too much into repetition. And I think when you listen to my songs, what I also do is I have these ARPs in the background to fill out songs, and then I have bigger melodies in the breaks, and they don't clash with any vocals that would be in there. So the bigger melodies that I make, those are the ones that catches your ear, the ones that are the hooks, basically. And making them more memorable, I think it's just about writing a good melody. You need to have a melody that sticks in your head, and if it sticks in your head, whether it be short, like a short riff, or a longer melody, that's about songwriting and making a good song. And if you mean making melodic sections more memorable, as in the track that we just listened to, I think there it's more about changing stuff. So having a phaser or a flanger, like even if it's just a little, if it changes your sound a little through cutoff effects or like filters or stuff like that, then it's it already gives you a much more interesting listening experience. And that's what I just explained to you in the feedback of your own track. I think that's probably the biggest thing that you want to incorporate to keep your songs, to make them more memorable for the listener. So it's like having a catchy hook, some elements that sticks in your head, but also if you have an ARP that repeats itself a lot, making sure that it changes over time, either through automation on the effects or changing the whole melody itself for a little. So I think my track In My Mind is a good example, because what I did there, the main melody that's introduced in the beginning and in the first break and in the drop, it changes near the end of the first drop, and in the breakdown there's a completely different melody, but it's the same sound, and it's still has this similar vibe to the original melody, and just because it's different in the second break, it gives this I don't know, it just makes it more interesting. Plus, if you want to hear that specific melody, you need to listen to the entire song again, because it's only in the breakdown. So that's how I make my songs more interesting, by changing. Sometimes when I feel like the melody is too repetitive, I just change the melody a little in the certain sections of the song, and then it really catches your listener a bit off ear, and you know they're coming back to being interested in the song again. So yeah, I guess that helps. All right, we have 2 more demos. Those are going to be the last 2 as well. I'll do a question. Okay, so we did DQ's question. Double M, I'm still pretty amateur at mixing, mastering. How telling is SoundCloud waveform? I don't know. I just listen to the song basically. Maybe I should start using analyzers next time, but I feel like I'm not so much about the mix down. I think if you want to get really good feedback about how mixes should sound and mix downs and everything, you probably want to check out Jules' channel, Bound to Divide, because he works with all the analyzers and everything. I listen more to if the songwriting is on point. I listen to the arrangement. Does the arrangement work? Does this make me want to dance? Does this make me want to chill? Does this make me want to catch a plane to Ibiza or the Maldives and lay on a beach somewhere, at some lounge club? What kind of emotion does the song give me? That's what I'm looking for. So when I'm listening to the SoundCloud waveform, I really don't care what it looks like. And honestly, how telling is a SoundCloud waveform? I don't really know. Most of the time you can see it a little bit in the mixes, actually. So in mixtapes, some of the songs that are better produced, they spike a little. But honestly, I wouldn't rely on SoundCloud's waveform at all. You'd probably want to do some comparison in your DAW. Just load up a track. What I do with Ableton, I have reference tracks, so they go straight to your output. So normally, if you have a normal track, like a track, it goes through your master chain, to your master channel. But you can also set the settings that it goes directly to your output, so it's not affected by your master chain. And then when you're mixing and mastering, you can just drag in a track that you like, and you can reference it exactly to your own mix or master. There are even tools like Isotope. They have in Ozone, they have an audio match tool. Sometimes you can use that, because most of it is EQing. If you feel like your mix or your master doesn't sound as good as your favorite producer or whatever, then you can drag in a track where okay, this sounds great, my song is similar, has similar elements, and I want my master to sound a little bit like this. Then you can use that as a reference, and you can connect the 2 tracks basically, and it should sound. They analyze and automatically put an EQ on there, and like an EQ match, and then you can get an idea of what your song is lacking, and you can fix that there. So there's a bunch of tools and ways to do that, and I always recommend just having reference tracks in your DAW. Sometimes when I mix or master, like now I have enough experience to when I'm mastering the Sekora tracks, I can just hear if it's done well or not. Like for example, End of Time, I did mastering without having any reference tracks, and it already sounded great. But sometimes I actually pull in a reference track to be like, okay, it sounds similar to this, and I want to achieve that kind of sound. And then I just EQ match or check where the levels are at by using analyzers. And that's a great way to really, for me, that was the most important tip basically I had for improving my mixing and mastering, and also maybe stealing some plugins that people have on their master channels. That can also work sometimes. Let's go into. Then we can do Cedric's question and his track. So listen to some music here. Let's play this one. Yeah, you definitely hear the inspiration. I like the chords here, but I feel like the arp that's coming in, it doesn't really fit the chords. Feels a bit random, so maybe make some actual arp that fits the chords. Yes, it sounds a little bit. This kind of sounds as if it's out of key. Yeah, I think the biggest, because some of the sounds are really cool. I like it has this, I mean the mix down is not perfect, but it also makes it interesting that it's not. It has this something cool about it. I think look into your arrangement a little and find out the parts that are interesting, because I feel like it changes too much and some of the elements, they don't really fit together. So try to make it a more coherent song, basically. Change the arp a little, I'd say, and work from the chords. The chords are the ones, that's the main theme of the song. So stick with that, and then work, add elements that fit the chords. Because here it's already again a different arp. Yeah, I think so. The drums are pretty cool. It has this edgy sound, inspired by the famous Mr. Kalkbrenner, like you said in your own comment here. So that's cool. I like that. I like the chords, but some of the elements and arps, they just don't fit. So I'd write something that's tailor-made for the chords and for this song. I'd stick to that idea, because right now it just sounds like it's like there's some loops thrown in there that don't really fit the song. That's kind of how it sounds. So yeah, you might want to look into that, and also make it a bit more interesting, because especially the beginning part, it drags on very long, and nothing really happens. So from a songwriting and arrangement point of view, that's where you could improve. And I think I'd probably just pick one of your favorite songs and just copy their arrangement, just steal it, because then you get an idea of what they do and where they introduce new elements. I think it could really take your song to the next level, honestly. Otherwise, yeah, about the ideas, nothing much to say there. Mix sound is also, it's fine. It could improve a little, but I think that's not the most important part here. So, yeah, just keep on working on it and try to get an arrangement from one of your favorite songs or favorite producers. Then I'll go into your question. What kind of a deal, relationship, support may a young, unknown artist may expect from your label? So I'm guessing if you would sign a song with us, what kind of relationship? I mean, it's very similar. Like, deals are always, it's a deal. It's not, something is not set in stone, but we have very fair deals, I would say, for artists. Especially when you compare it to some bigger labels. So that's great, but like, I wouldn't worry about that part until you actually sign a song with us or sign a song with any label. And the type of relationship, well, I like to keep it very personal, in a way that, that's why we have a Discord server, and that's why we also invited all the artists to join. And yeah, I mean, like, I chat to most of the artists on Instagram as well, DMs. We try to do some Skype calls and chats, and I really try to get everyone involved because, of course, for me, it's also, I also like to have artists return to the label. And when we sign a new artist, yeah, I mean, you have to start somewhere. But if you're more, the more releases that you release on Sekora, obviously, like, the more exposure you're gonna get, because you really get connected to the label. If you just sign one track and then nothing happens, and people will like it, and of course we'll promote it as much as we can, but yeah, you get a much bigger effect if you sign multiple tracks. And that's also what I want to what I aim for. I don't I'd much rather have a handful of great artists that release a lot of songs on our label than have a lot of artists only sign 1 or 2 tracks. So that's what I'm kind of looking for, and that's why I try to build relationships with any artist. It doesn't necessarily mean like a young unknown artist. It goes for every artist that signs with us. So. No, sorry, Diki. Bizarre is going to be the last one because we're already going for 2 hours. And I'm saving Cedric's question for last. I mean, like, we can do one more question, but I'm not going to go into... You can save your track for Tuesday, so post it again on Tuesday, and we'll get into it then. Check this track here. Bizarre, is he here? Is he in the chat? Clipping a lot, so you want to check this. Yeah, the melody is cool, but it's not an actual song, so it's nothing much for me to say here, honestly. Yeah, the melody, it sounds nice, so make a song with it and then drop it in the feedback channel. Other than that, yeah, there's nothing much I can tell, like nothing much I can say about the feedback here, so it needs to be an actual song. Yeah, no, it's but it also says like it's a melody idea, so it's a cool idea. Just finish the song, I'd say. Alright, that was the last one, and we're going to the question and we're going to finish up. If I missed any questions, please let me know. I think I've gotten everything. So Cedric asks, who were your mentors? What was the turning point for you? Well, that's quite some questions. When went from an amateur to turn into a pro. Okay. First, who were your mentors? I had different kind of mentors. I had music mentors and I had also business mentors. I think my biggest mentor because there's different kinds of mentors. You can also see a mentor as someone that is maybe someone you don't know personally, but it's just a big influence on your life. So there's those kind of mentors. But when I think about a real life mentor, someone that I got to know on a personal level that really helped me throughout my career, and then I'd say my biggest mentor was Norman Suarez. So he was the founder of Dance Fair that I worked for 5 years. Dance Fair is a music conference in the Netherlands. Unfortunately, Norman passed away last year, but he was probably my biggest mentor. He was a great mentor musically because, he had very cool ideas. He was also a music producer himself and a percussionist. So he had so much experience in the music industry, and he really, really helped me with a lot of things and understanding things and becoming a better person in general. So he was probably my biggest mentor, and like the things he taught me are the things I also try to give back to you guys and anyone that I mentor, younger guys or whatnot. Then a big musical mentor of mine was Maurizio Colella, which is EDX. He's a friend. I've known him for years. He's a friend of mine, and also a sort of mentor. I mean, I know him, Christian Hurt, who is also he works with EDX as well, and he's a big producer for like a lot of the Helvetic nerds and the artists that they represent, from enormous tunes. So that includes like Sons of Maria, Nora and Pure, EDX, Croatia Squad, all those type of artists. They all work with him to some extent. He was always an inspiration from the beginning, like a mentor. In the beginning, I would send him some tracks and he'd give me some feedback at some point. But it's also just the way that he does things, and the same goes for Maurizio EDX. He's always been a mentor in a way that, yes, when we were to talk, like during ADE, I sometimes see him. We chat about whatever, right? We don't talk very often, but I always see him as one of my biggest mentors because he really taught me a lot, but also in a indirect way. So I look at him, because he's he runs a label, and he's a very business-minded person, and yeah, that's always been an inspiration to me. So his music has always been an inspiration, and just the stuff that they've been doing, also with Nora and Pure, that whole group they've always been great friends, and they're all mentors in a way. So, and then there's also mentors, I'd say, that I've never met before, that are just indirect sort of mentors that you can sort of look up to not look up to, that's a bad thing to say, but take as an inspiration to improve your own life. So I think a great example would be someone that I really appreciate is Roger Federer, the tennis player. I think he's a mentor in a way. Like, I've never met him before. I've seen him once, never met him, but he's just a very humble, down-to-earth guy. He's probably the best tennis player ever to walk the earth. He's amazing. And I do play tennis myself, but not on a high level or anything. But he's a mentor mostly in his mindset. So I really I really like how he keeps his calm, because tennis is a very mental game, but it's very good to see someone like him be very humble, with all the success he has. So that's something that's someone that I really respect for, just their general mindset and their look on life. Enjoying your life, but also trying to become the best person you can be, and staying humble. So that's very important to me. So that's probably, I would say, to my mentors. And of course my dad. My dad has also always been a mentor, and I'm very grateful to have parents like I do, that always try to help where they can. So I think that's a blessing to have. Anyway, enough mentors. What was the turning point for you? The turning point, I think that was 2016 probably. Well, no, 2013 was probably the turning point where I didn't become pro, but it gave me insights where I knew I was gonna become a pro at some point, because I was so motivated to do so. So I was producing music for about 2 years. Started in 2011 or so, 2010, something like that. And then in 2013, I was making some progressive house, and it was the old Helvetic Nerds, old EDX type of progressive house. And I got to know about EDX, about his music. I found out about him, and I became a fan. I really enjoyed his music. And then I got invited actually to go with him to Ibiza on his private jet. So that was crazy. He was opening for Avicii back then at Ushuaia at the beach club, and I've never experienced something like that in my entire life. Like being with an artist of his caliber, going on tour, seeing like backstage and how everything is handled at a venue like that. So for me, that was the most life-changing experience when it comes to music that I've had. That whole journey really it really inspired me to, okay, I'm a music producer. As back then it was I wasn't just a hobbyist. I was doing it for fun. But when that happened, it really because I got to see everything behind the scenes, how everything works, it really inspired me to be okay. I'm gonna become a professional producer or musician at some point. I want to do this. This is my goal. And I think I have that trip and EDX to thank for that, because he really motivated me to keep on grinding and continue. So I will always be very thankful for that experience that he's given me, and for his friendship over the years. Just hold on. Yeah, and for me, the turning point from going to amateur into actually making money with music was probably 2016. So I kept on making music in between, and that's 2016 was when I really started to get my first that's when I started getting my first success with a bit more future house. Sorry about that. And that's when I actually started making more money, and it started to become more serious. You can check out the story about how I got. Oh my God! Hold on. You can actually check out in the last live stream. You can check out the story about how I got my first signing, and I think that's also a bit of the story of how everything started for me. That's when I also in 2017 I started my first record label. That was the year after everything started to work out a little, and I started to make money with producing and releasing music. So that was my professional year of changeover. That was also the year that I graduated from university. Actually, I graduated in 2015, no, 2016, something like that, 15 or 16. But yeah, for me, that was the year I went. Like, I think it's a mindset about turning pro, and then actually working on it and making money. So that's the year when I started making money with my music, and 2016 was really the year when everything started to happen. That I knew, like, okay, I can make a full-on business out of this. So yeah, and everything from there, it just kept on growing and becoming bigger and bigger, and yeah, now it's a full-on business. So it shows that I think it's mostly about a mindset that you need to have. You need to have a good work ethic to work at it every day, because honestly, for me, I don't do anything else besides music. Music has taken over my entire life, and I mean, I work with music every day. You can't really go to a quote-unquote normal life again after you go full-time on this, because it takes over your life basically, and it did mine too. And yeah, so it's kind of how the story begins, I would say, because honestly, Sekora is only 2 years old, and if I see 3 years old now. If I see how fast it grew in the last year, it's insane. So yeah, I think it's going to become even bigger and bigger. But yeah, it needs work and dedication, which I am. So that's why I'm sitting here talking to you guys about this stuff. Anyway, we're gonna wrap up the stream. Sorry. We're gonna wrap it up. I want to thank everyone for joining. The next one is gonna be on Tuesday, 8 o'clock CET. That's Central European time, Amsterdam time. And then you can drop new tracks in the feedback channel on Tuesday. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like if you enjoyed the stream. Alright guys, see you next time, and have a good night. Bye bye.